One rainy night, a rich man finds two little girls who look just like the love he lost long ago and soon learns their mom is very sick, while a hidden family secret threatens to change everything. This story of lost time, betrayal, and hope will keep you hooked until the very end. Dear friend, what you're about to experience is not just a story. It's a deeply human journey about loss, resilience, and the quiet, unexpected ways love finds us when we need it most. If this is your first time here, I invite you to drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing your voice. And if you're someone who believes in second chances, in the hidden strength of ordinary people, and in stories that stay with you long after they end, consider subscribing and tapping the bell icon. We share moments that matter. Thank you for being part of this one. Now let's begin. The night the rain fell hardest over Boston's historic Beacon Hill was the night Alexander Hayes' life changed forever. Sheets of water hammered the cobblestone streets, bouncing off the elegant iron gates and brick townhouses that lined the neighborhood. Alexander, once a celebrated aerospace engineer turned millionaire investor, was rushing to a late-night business meeting when his SUV's engine coughed and died on a deserted block. The storm swallowed every sound, except the sloshing of his expensive leather shoes in rising puddles. He cursed softly, glancing at his watch, then up at the flickering street lamp. That's when he saw them two small figures huddled under the stone archway of the Old North Church, hair the color of a polished copper penny, identical in every way. His breath caught painfully in his chest. Even from yards away, their pale faces, wide amber eyes, and delicate freckles mirrored a ghost he thought he'd buried decades ago. Caroline Munro, his first love, the woman he lost before he ever understood what it meant to truly love someone. His mind screamed it couldn't be real, yet his heart whispered it had to be. His feet moved before he could think. Lightning flashed, illuminating the twins fully for the first time. They looked up at him with eyes so familiar they shattered the steel walls he'd built around his heart since Caroline vanished from his life 35 years ago. He knelt the rain, drenching his tailored coat, and spoke softly. "Are you girls okay? Where's your mom?" The girl, clutching a frayed stuffed rabbit, looked up, tears blending with the rain on her cheeks. "She's very sick," she whispered, voice trembling. "We're waiting for someone to help." The other girl stepped forward, her gaze direct. "You look like you know her. Do you know our mom?" "Her name is Caroline Munro." Hearing that name nearly made him collapse right there on the soaked pavement. Caroline Munro. His mind spun back to days of college dreams. Moonlit picnics on the Charles River whispered promises of forever. He remembered how they planned a life full of music and love until one day she was gone, leaving no letter, no goodbye. He searched for her, begged mutual friends for information, but always ran into dead ends. Now, here in the storm were two living mirrors of the woman who haunted his every quiet moment. He pulled off his coat and draped it around the shivering twins. "My name is Alexander," he said, voice cracking. "Yes, I knew your mom a very long time ago." His hand shook as he took theirs. "Where is she now, Emma?" The more serious twin answered first. "She's in the hospital," the nurses said. "She might not come home." Torrents of grief and rage welled up inside Alexander. How could fate be so cruel to bring him face to face with Caroline's daughters only when time was slipping through her fingers? The storm, the darkened street, the innocent faces of the girls. It all felt like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. As thunder rolled overhead, his mind reeled with questions. What had happened to Caroline? Why hadn't she reached out? What kind of life had she endured without him? These thoughts stabbed at his heart with every beat. But looking into Emma and Ella's eyes, he realized this was no time for questions. They needed him now. He hailed a passing taxi, bundled the girls inside, and directed the driver to Massachusetts General Hospital. The rain streaked the cab windows as Boston's skyline blurred past. Each flash of lightning felt like fate throwing open doors Alexander thought forever closed. Inside the taxi, Emma broke the silence. "Our mom always says, true love finds its way home. Do you think that's true?" Alexander's throat tightened as he reached for her small hand. Sometimes he whispered, voice husky with emotion. "It just takes longer than we wish." In that moment, the weight of every missed chance, every letter lost to time, every dream that died with Caroline's absence crashed down on him. But the warmth of the girl's tiny hands in his reignited a purpose he hadn't felt in years. He silently vowed not to lose them, not now, not ever. This opening night wasn't just a twist of fate, it was a reckoning. Alexander's entire life had been a string of successes measured in dollars and accolades, but none of it mattered anymore. Seeing those girls' faces showed him what he had truly lost and what he might still have a chance to save. The city outside seemed to hold its breath with him. To anyone who's ever felt time slip by or love lost forever, Alexander's story offers a powerful reminder. Sometimes the past doesn't stay buried, and the second chance you thought would never come can arrive when you least expect it. It might show up in the form of two frightened little girls on a rainy street asking you to remember what it means to love unconditionally. As the taxi pulled up to the hospital lights, glowing through the storm like beacons of fragile hope, Alexander felt his resolve harden. No matter what lay ahead, he wouldn't walk away from these girls, or from the woman who once meant everything. And with the storm outside still raging, he stepped into the hospital's entrance ready to face truths decades in the making, leading straight into the secrets he was about to uncover in the next chapter of his extraordinary, heartbreaking journey. The sterile scent of antiseptic filled the small private room at Massachusetts General Hospital where Caroline Monroe lay. The soft hum of medical machines provided a quiet backdrop to the rhythmic beat of her heart monitor, a fragile sound that seemed both persistent and hauntingly uncertain. Alexander Hayes stood by her bedside, watching the once vibrant woman now diminished by time and illness. Her auburn hair, once flowing and luminous like autumn leaves, was now thin and strewn across the pillow. Her hands, which had once danced effortlessly over piano keys, were pale and weak as they rested in his. Caroline's eyes fluttered open, revealing the faintest glimmer of recognition. A faint smile played on her lips as she whispered, "Alex, you found them." The words, simple yet profound, cut through the years of silence and longing that had stretched between them. Alexander knelt closer, taking her hand, gently feeling the frail warmth that remained. The room was heavy with unspoken truths, but Caroline gathered her remaining strength to speak, her voice barely audible. "I tried so many times to reach you, but the world had other plans for us." She paused, fighting the exhaustion that threatened to overwhelm her. "Raising Emma and Ella alone was the hardest symphony I ever played. Every note was tinged with fear and hope. I wanted them to know you, to have your love, even if I couldn't bring you to them." Alexander's heart ached as he listened. He had imagined many versions of this reunion, but none prepared him for the raw pain in her words. She told him of nights spent teaching piano lessons in small Cape Cod houses, performing in dimly lit lounges to make ends meet, and of the fierce determination that kept her going for the twins' sake. "They are more than just my daughters," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "They are my legacy pieces of a love that never died." The story she shared was a testament to the sacrifices countless single mothers make, balancing dreams deferred and hopes rekindled, all while shielding their children from the harsh realities of life. Alexander thought of the many families in his own city struggling to hold themselves together, often unseen and unheard yet resilient beyond measure. There was a pause a moment when Caroline's eyes searched his. "Why did you never come back?" she asked softly. The question hung in the air like a fragile cord waiting to be resolved. Alexander's throat tightened. He wanted to explain to unravel the tangled web of lies and misunderstandings, but the words caught in his chest. Instead, he whispered, "I thought you didn't want me. I thought you had moved on." Her gaze was steady, filled with both sorrow and forgiveness. "I wrote to you. Letters, calls. But your brother made sure you never received them. He feared for your future, for the life he believed you deserved. But in protecting you, he broke us all." The revelation struck Alexander like a thunderclap. The man he had once trusted most had stolen not only his love, but also years he could never reclaim. The weight of this betrayal settled heavily on his shoulders, yet it also ignited a fierce resolve to make things right. The twins, Emma and Ella, shy yet curious, peeked into the room. Alexander smiled gently at their cautious eyes. They clung to each other, embodying a bond forged not just by blood, but by shared hardship. Their innocence amidst such turmoil was a poignant reminder of the resilience children possess, even when the world around them trembles. As Caroline's breaths grew more labored, she reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Ella's forehead. "Promise me, you'll watch over them," she implored, voice trembling. "They need someone who will love them fiercely, who will protect their dreams." Alexander nodded, tears tracing silent paths down his cheeks. "I promise," he said, the conviction in his voice unwavering. The scene was a stark reflection of many families' realities, how illness, separation, and unspoken fears can fracture bonds, yet how love persists through the darkest nights. It was a story that resonated deeply, especially with those who had loved and lost, who understood the quiet desperation of time slipping away too fast. In the quiet hours that followed, Alexander sat with the twins reading stories of hope and courage, his voice steady even as his heart swelled with emotion. He saw in their eyes the flicker of trust, the tentative belief that perhaps this man could be the family they had been longing for. That night, as the hospital corridors fell silent, Alexander found himself reflecting on the fragility of life and the strength found in second chances. The mother who had fought so hard was now entrusting him with her greatest treasures, the twins, and the truth of their shared past. As dawn approached, bringing with it a sliver of new light, Alexander knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. But within the depths of his grief and newfound hope, he discovered a lesson that transcended loss, that love, no matter how delayed, has the power to heal wounds time thought too deep to mend. With the morning light filtering through the hospital window, Alexander felt a quiet determination settle within him. He would uncover every secret face, every obstacle, and honor Caroline's final plea. The journey was just beginning, leading him toward revelations that would shake the very foundation of his life and the lives of those he was destined to protect. The sun had barely risen over Boston when Alexander Hayes sat across from his older brother Richard in a quiet wood-paneled office that smelled faintly of aged leather and regret. The room felt colder than the autumn morning outside, and the weight of unspoken accusations hung thick between them. For decades, Richard had been the man Alexander trusted most, a brother, an ally, a confidant. But now, as the truth unraveled, Alexander saw the cracks beneath the polished facade. Why, Alexander's voice was barely above a whisper, his hands clenched tightly around a cup of untouched coffee. Why did you keep me from Caroline and the girls? Why all these years of silence? Richard's eyes were hard a mask of practiced indifference. I did what I thought was best, he said flatly. You had a future to build, Alexander. Yale was your ticket out of a small-town life. Caroline was a distraction, an expensive mistake. The words pierced Alexander like a blade. He wanted to scream to accuse, but instead he forced himself to listen, to understand how his brother had become the architect of his heartbreak. Richard went on to explain how he had intercepted letters Caroline sent, how he had ensured that any message bearing her name was quietly returned unopened. He had financially supported Caroline from afar, enough to keep her and the twins afloat, but never enough to allow them to reach out openly. "I thought I was protecting you," Richard insisted. "From scandal, from a life you didn't choose." Alexander's mind flashed to the many families he had met in his philanthropic work, single mothers struggling to raise children in the shadows of secrets and shame, fathers denied the chance to know their own. He thought of how easily lives could be shaped or shattered by the decisions of those who claimed to act for our own good. The betrayal was not just personal. It was a wound that cut through years of lost moments, missed milestones, and silent suffering. Alexander felt a wave of sorrow wash over him for Caroline's lonely battles for the twins growing up without a father's presence, and for himself robbed of a chance to be part of the family he never knew he had. "Do you know what it's like?" Alexander's voice cracked. "To watch your children grow through pictures and stories, never hearing their laughter, never holding their hands." He swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "I lost them before I even met them." Richard's expression softened for a fleeting moment, but pride and regret wrestled within him. "I thought I was saving you," he said quietly, "but maybe I was just afraid." The conversation lingered in Alexander's mind long after he left the office. It became clear that the journey ahead would not only be about reclaiming custody of the twins, but also about confronting the shadows of family secrets that had shaped their lives. In the following days, Alexander discovered more evidence of Richard's interference, bank statements, anonymous donations, and even legal documents bearing his brother's signature that complicated the twins' guardianship. The realization was sobering. Sometimes those closest to us can become the greatest obstacles. Yet, amidst the sorrow, Alexander found strength. He thought of the countless stories he'd heard about people who overcame family betrayals and rebuilt their lives with courage and grace. He remembered a dear friend whose estranged father had re-entered her life after 20 years determined to make amends. Their story was one of hope, forgiveness, and new beginnings. With this in mind, Alexander resolved to fight not just legally, but with compassion. He would seek not only justice for Emma and Ella, but also a way to heal the fractured bonds that had kept them apart for so long. Late one evening, as he prepared to face the mounting challenges, Alexander received a call from Caroline's nurse. "She's been asking about you," the nurse said softly. "She wants to tell you something important, something she couldn't say before." Alexander felt a chill run down his spine. There were still secrets hidden in Caroline's fading memories, and he knew that uncovering them would be the key to truly understanding the past and securing a future for the girls. The road ahead promised to be difficult, but Alexander's heart was set. He was no longer a man lost in regret. He was a guardian ready to reclaim what was once denied, to protect the legacy of love and resilience that Caroline had fought so hard to leave behind. And as the first light of dawn touched the Boston skyline, Alexander prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries that would define the rest of his journey. The day Alexander Hayes stepped into the Suffolk County family court was one he had imagined in countless dreams and nightmares. The building, with its imposing stone pillars and echoing marble halls, was a far cry from the warmth and music that had once filled Caroline Monroe's home. As he held Emma and Ella's hands tightly, their small fingers intertwined with his, he felt the weight of every hope, every fear, every sacrifice he was about to make. The courtroom was tense, filled with a mixture of somber faces and the quiet shuffle of papers. Judge Martha Bell, A woman known for her fairness and compassion presided with an air of calm authority. The room hushed as Alexander's attorney began presenting the case outlining his commitment to the twins and his plans to provide them with the love and stability Caroline could no longer offer. But the battle was far from easy. Richard Hayes, Alexander's brother, stood resolute on the opposing side, armed with a team of high-powered lawyers and carefully crafted evidence. They painted Alexander as a man too consumed by grief and responsibility to provide a proper home, an emotional wreck whose age and lifestyle rendered him unfit to raise two young children. Alexander listened to the accusations, each one cutting deeper than the last. He saw the girls glance up at him, eyes wide with uncertainty. Their innocent faith in him became his anchor. He knew the truth of his heart, but proving it against a seasoned adversary was a daunting challenge. The judge called for testimonies. Social workers recounted the twins' time in foster care, highlighting their resilience, but also their profound need for a permanent family. Teachers spoke of Emma's quiet intelligence and Ella's creative spirit, both yearning for consistency and love. Each word weighed heavily in the air, a testament to the children's fragile hope. In a poignant moment, Caroline's nurse stepped forward to read a letter Caroline had written before losing consciousness. The letter spoke of her unwavering trust in Alexander, her belief that he was the one destined to be their protector. The courtroom grew silent as the nurse's voice trembled, reading words steeped in love and urgency. Alexander rose, voice steady but filled with emotion. "Your Honor, I am not perfect. I have made mistakes, and life has tested me in ways I never imagined. But my heart belongs to these girls. I will sacrifice everything to give them the family they deserve." His words echoed in the room, reaching beyond legal arguments to touch the core of human compassion. It was a reminder that love and dedication often outweigh the cold calculations of paper and precedent. Throughout the proceedings, Alexander drew strength from the girls. One afternoon, during a brief recess, Emma whispered to him, "Grandpa Alex, do you think Mom would want us to be here?" He smiled through tears and replied, "She wants nothing more than for you to be safe and loved." The case also highlighted a broader reality faced by many families, how bureaucracy and legal systems can sometimes complicate the simplest desires for belonging and security. Alexander's fight was not just for custody, but for justice, in a system often burdened by its own rules. Outside the courtroom, he met with a support group for grandparents raising grandchildren. He heard stories of perseverance, of battles won and lost, and of the unyielding bonds that defy age and circumstance. These real-life examples fortified his resolve, reminding him he was not alone. As days turned into weeks, the tension mounted. Richard's camp attempted to introduce fabricated documents suggesting instability in Alexander's life. But Alexander's team countered with character witnesses, friends, colleagues, neighbors who spoke of his unwavering commitment and the quiet love he had shown the twins. A turning point came when a video surfaced, a recorded message from Caroline herself made during a lucid moment in the hospital. Her words were a heartfelt plea to the court, affirming Alexander's role as the children's rightful guardian and expressing her hope for their happiness. The courtroom was moved to tears, including Judge Bell, whose decision carried the weight of that emotional testimony. In a moment that seemed to pause time, she ruled in Alexander's favor, granting him temporary custody with a pathway to full guardianship. Outside the courthouse, Alexander gathered Emma and Ella in a warm embrace. The relief was palpable, but he knew this was only the beginning of a journey toward healing. The custody battle taught him profound lessons about sacrifice, the willingness to face opposition, to stand firm in love, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. It was a story mirrored in countless families where strength is measured not by wealth or status, but by the depth of devotion. That evening, as Alexander tucked the girls into bed in their new home, he whispered promises of safety and belonging. Emma's small hand reached for his, her trust shining bright despite all they had endured. The experience reshaped Alexander's understanding of family and redemption. It was not about reclaiming lost time, but about building something new grounded in honesty, compassion, and unwavering love. As the night settled over Boston, Alexander found himself reflecting on the fragile yet resilient threads that bind us. In the face of betrayal, loss, and challenge, the heart's capacity to forgive and rebuild shines brightest. With the dawn of a new day, Alexander prepared to embrace the future he had fought so hard for, one where Emma and Ella could grow surrounded by love and the memory of a mother who never stopped believing. And beyond the legal battles and emotional scars, a new chapter awaited one filled with hope, healing, and the promise of family. The early morning light filtered softly through the windows of Alexander Hayes's Cape Cod home, casting a gentle glow over the worn piano that sat proudly in the corner, a silent testament to Carolyn Monroe's passion and the legacy she had left behind. The house, once quiet and heavy with loss, now buzzed with the laughter and chatter of Emma and Ella. The twins had begun to blossom, their personalities emerging like spring blooms after a long winter. Alexander watched them play, the same fiery copper hair catching the sunlight, their eyes alight with curiosity and hope. It was in moments like these that he felt the full weight and beauty of what they had endured and the promise of what lay ahead. The journey had been long and arduous, a tapestry woven with threads of betrayal, heartbreak, and sacrifice, but through it all, love had remained the unbreakable thread binding them together. Caroline's final gift to her family was discovered in the quiet moments following her passing. Among her belongings, Alexander found a collection of handwritten piano compositions, pieces she had poured her soul into during the quiet nights when hope seemed faintest. Each note spoke of love loss and the strength found in holding on. With reverence, Alexander arranged for these pieces to be performed at a charity concert in Boston's Symphony Hall, a fitting tribute to a woman whose life had been as complex and beautiful as the music she created. The night of the concert was charged with emotion. As the first notes floated through the grand hall, Alexander felt tears prick his eyes. The music told Caroline's story, a story of resilience and unwavering love that transcended time and circumstance. Emma and Ella sat beside him, their small hands clutching his faces, shining with pride and wonder. The audience, too, was moved. Strangers united in shared humanity, understanding through melody what words alone could never fully express. But the evening held more than just music. In a dramatic turn, the concert hall's lobby became the scene of a confrontation that shattered the remaining shadows of the past. Federal agents arrived to arrest Richard Hayes Alexander's brother on charges of financial misconduct tied to the family trust. The news spread rapidly, the revelation casting a final light on the betrayal that had so deeply affected the family. For Alexander, the moment was bittersweet. Justice was being served, yet the wounds left by years of deception could not be undone overnight. Yet, in the face of such pain, he found solace in the truth finally being unveiled, and the chance to build a future unburdened by secrets. Beyond the legal battles and public drama, Alexander's focus remained on the twins, their well-being, their happiness, and their sense of belonging. He committed himself to creating a home filled with warmth, laughter, and the kind of stability Caroline had dreamed of for them. Their daily lives were a testament to healing. Emma's quiet intelligence flourished under the guidance of tutors and mentors, while Ella's artistic talents blossomed in local art classes and community theaters. Together they began to weave their own stories, ones that honored their mother's memory and celebrated their unique spirits. Alexander often reflected on the lessons this journey had taught him. Love, he realized, was not a finite resource, but an endless wellspring that could heal even the deepest wounds. He thought of countless families who had faced similar struggles, often in silence, and how the courage to fight for connection could transform lives. He shared these reflections with the twins in quiet moments. One evening, as he tucked them into bed, Emma looked up at him with wide, thoughtful eyes. "Grandpa Alex," she whispered, "do you think Mom and Grandma Caroline can see us now?" Alexander smiled softly, brushing a stray curl from her forehead. "I believe they can," he replied, "and I think they're so proud of the girls you're becoming." Such moments underscored the profound truth that family is not only born of blood, but also forged through love, sacrifice, and the choices we make every day. Alexander also made it a point to involve Emma and Ella in preserving Caroline's legacy. Together, they worked on a project to digitize her music and share it with the world, turning private grief into public inspiration. The community embraced the effort, and Caroline's compositions began touching lives far beyond the walls of their home. Through this process, Alexander found healing in honoring Caroline's dreams, and the twins discovered pride in their heritage. It was a shared journey of remembrance and hope, where the past's shadows were met with the light of new beginnings. The road was not without challenges. Alexander faced moments of doubt, exhaustion, and the occasional pang of loneliness that comes with rebuilding a family later in life. But each time the smiles of Emma and Ella renewed his strength, reminding him why he had fought so fiercely. Their story became one of redemption, not just for Alexander but for all of them. It was a testament to the power of forgiveness, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unyielding hope that guides us through even the darkest nights. Alexander's transformation from a man haunted by lost love to a devoted guardian was a beacon to those who believed it was too late to change the course of their lives. It showed that healing is possible, and with love as a guide, a new future could always be built. As the seasons changed, so did the family. The house, once filled with silence, now echoed with music and laughter, a living tribute to Caroline's enduring spirit. Emma and Ella grew under Alexander's watchful and loving care, surrounded by a community that embraced them as family. The legacy of love Caroline had left was no longer just a memory, it was a living, breathing reality. And in the hearts of Alexander, Emma, and Ella, it would continue to inspire generations to come. Life has a way of weaving stories that are far more intricate and poignant than we could ever anticipate. Alexander Hayes's journey from a successful aerospace engineer to a devoted guardian embodies the unpredictable twists that life can take and the enduring power of love and redemption. His story is not merely one of reunion, but of healing wounds carved by years of absence, betrayal, and lost time. From that rainy night in Boston, when Alexander first saw Emma and Ella, two girls who mirrored the woman he had loved decades ago, his life was irrevocably changed. What began as a chance encounter under a stormy sky unfolded into a profound exploration of family sacrifice and resilience. The twins, innocent yet wise beyond their years, became the living bridge to a past Alexander thought had slipped away forever. Caroline Monroe's courageous fight against illness, her sacrifices as a single mother, and her enduring hope shaped much of Alexander's path. Despite years of silence and deception, her love never wavered. Through her final plea, Alexander was called not only to step into a role he had never anticipated, but to mend a family fractured by secrets and betrayal. The revelation of Richard Hayes' interference exposed the painful reality that sometimes those closest to us can cause the deepest wounds. Yet, Alexander's story teaches us that betrayal does not have to define our future. It is possible to confront pain with courage, to seek justice without bitterness, and to forge new beginnings from the ashes of the past. The custody battle was a testament to Alexander's unwavering commitment and the transformative power of love. It showed that true family extends beyond biology. It is built on sacrifice, determination, and the willingness to fight for those we cherish. Emma and Ella's resilience throughout this ordeal was a reminder of the strength children possess even amid uncertainty. Ultimately, Alexander's decision to honor Caroline's legacy through music and devotion illuminated the healing potential of embracing both loss and hope. The family's journey from sorrow to celebration, from estrangement to unity, offers a powerful narrative of redemption and renewal. What deeper lessons can we draw from this story? First, it reminds us that forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Holding on to anger or resentment only prolongs pain. Alexander's ability to face his brother's betrayal with honesty and resolve rather than hatred allowed him to reclaim his life and family. In our own lives, choosing forgiveness can free us from the weight of past hurts and open the door to healing. Second, this story underscores the importance of compassion and patience. Caroline's struggles and Alexander's challenges highlight that love often requires sacrifice and endurance. Relationships may face trials, but with empathy and persistence, bonds can be restored. Applying this to our daily lives means listening with an open heart, giving others grace, and nurturing connections even when it's difficult. Third, it teaches us that it's never too late to change course. Alexander's late-in-life transformation into a devoted guardian shows that new chapters can begin at any stage. Whether reconciling with loved ones, pursuing passions, or making amends, we all have the power to rewrite our stories. For those watching, these lessons are invitations to reflect on your own relationships and choices. Embrace forgiveness, practice compassion, and remember that love is the most potent force for healing and growth. Let Alexander's journey inspire you to face your own challenges with courage and an open heart. If this story touched you, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. Your support fuels our passion for sharing stories that uplift, inspire, and remind us of our shared humanity. Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, we can continue to explore the extraordinary power of love, resilience, and hope through many more heartfelt stories.